Hello, and welcome back to Quick Takes with the DLC. My name is Katava King, and I'm the program coordinator for the DLC. Today, we're going to talk about supporting low incidence learners with reentry routines. For those of you who are unfamiliar with our work, the DLC connects teachers and leaders with professional learning, resources, and networks to improve outcomes for diverse learners. Recalibration. This year, in fact, the last couple of years have required a little bit of recalibration from us all, okay? So something as small as fall break, winter break, or spring break may require some recalibration in your classroom for low incidence learners. Today's mission. You're going to understand how to support low incidence learners with reentry by looking at 3 ways to best do this, okay? We're going to talk about 3 tips. The first tip, preparing the physical environment. The second tip, providing clear expectations. And finally, the third tip, planning for engaging instruction. Low incidence. What does this mean? Well, it's a general term that's used to describe disabilities that are less common in the general population. A few examples of those disabilities includes intellectual disability, orthopedic impairments such as physical disabilities, visual impairments, and even hearing impairments. Tip number 1, prepare the physical environment. The less that students have to think about where do they belong or where do materials belong in the classroom, the better that they'll be able to focus on your classroom instruction. So we want to be sure that the physical environment maximizes space and time for learning in the classroom. This aids in this. Ease of traffic flow. If students know exactly the easiest way to get to the trash can or to get to the pencil sharpener, that will aid in minimizing distractions. Okay. Visual schedules, the holy grail of transitions. If students know exactly what's coming next, or they're able to anticipate it with a visual schedule, then they will support with decreasing unfavorable behaviors in the classroom. We want students to feel comfortable and feel safe. Finally, maximizing your classroom setup. More specifically, thinking about where students are sitting in contrast to where the adults are in the room. You want to be sure to have students facing you and not your back towards them, and vice versa. This aids in ensuring that all students remain safe in the classroom. Reinforcing your routines. In order to hit the ground running when returning from a break, you want to stick to your schedule. That's the key. Making sure that you plan in time to review and reinforce your routines immediately after you return from a break will then support students with understanding the consistency and the importance of those routines. Why are routines beneficial for low incidence learners? Well, they influence emotional, cognitive, and social development. They help students feel safe. If I'm able as a student to anticipate what's coming next or to know exactly what's expected of me in the classroom, then I'm more likely to perform my absolute best, okay? Which essentially is what we want. We all want students to result in high rates of learning engagement in our classroom. We want students to feel their best and to be their best, and routines are beneficial for that purpose. Tip number 2, provide clear expectations. The more that students don't have to guess about what's expected of them or what they should be doing, the better it is for classroom participation and for your general instruction. High achievement always takes place in the framework of high expectations. Charles Kettering. We want to be sure that students know we expect the very best from them. So then in turn, they perform their very best for themselves and in turn for the entire classroom. Clear expectations aid in both academic and behavioral. For academics, it places students at the center of their own learning. They know exactly what to expect from their classroom, from their peers, from their teacher, and from the day-to-day activities. Clear expectations provide students with high quality access to curriculum. Like I said, it allows space and time for students to know exactly what to focus on. Clear expectations motivate students to take charge of their own learning. It's their classroom, it's their learning, and we want them as the center of it. We want to motivate them to take responsibility. Behaviorally, clear expectations give teachers a set of positive behaviors to reinforce. What things should I look out for as a teacher? What behavior should I look for? Okay. Clear expectations give students an idea of what success looks like. I know exactly what I need to do because the expectations have clearly stated so to me. And it provides positive reinforcement that increases the frequency of those behaviors. So the more often you review them, the more often that students are aware of them, the more often you will see these behaviors happen in your classroom. How do you know that your expectations are clear? How do you ensure that they're clear? Well, these three things will ensure that your expectations are clear. You want to teach them. Why are these things important? Well, for example, students, when I'm giving directions, ensure that you're silent so you can hear exactly what I'm expecting of you to do. That's an example of ensuring how to state that students understand what's important for student success in your expectations. So that's teach. Model. You want to show students visually what it looks like. So when we're engaging in group instruction, we're with our legs crossed on the carpet, or we're not talking when our other peers are talking. So we're silent. You want to model what that looks like for students who may respond better to verbal support. And then, of course, practice, practice, practice. You may not get it right the first time. Your students may not get it right the first time, but you always want to practice so that your students long-term learn what is expected of them in your classroom. Examples. Here are some examples of clear expectations posted in the classroom. On the left, you see the first example says be respectful, be responsible, and be safe. Three very clear things for students to do. And it provides a few examples of how to do that. How to be respectful. You want to use your quiet voice. You want to listen to those directions. How to be safe. You want to keep your hands and feet to yourself. Be sure that you walk at all times. So that's the first example. The second one is CHAMPS. At your school, you may have different acronyms that you all use, but essentially, CHAMPS is just a way to support students with understanding what habits to have in the classroom. So for C, have conversation habit. H, help. A, activity. M, movement. P, participation, and S, success. So what does success look like in the classroom? And you can see that these are very clearly indicated of what success looks like in that class. Google Goals. So the third example on the right. This is an example of clearly communicating expectations for a virtual classroom. So this is posted in a student's Google Classroom is the first image that they see when they log on, telling them exactly what to do, how to check in, how to chat responsibly, and even how to keep themselves organized. So these are just a few examples of ways that you can visually have clear expectations as well. Tip number 3, plan for engaging instruction. No one wants to sit in a classroom where students are just sitting and teachers are just talking the entire time. That's not fun for us as teachers, and it's not fun for students. So we want to do everything that we can to make sure that our instruction is engaging. Why? Why should we make sure that instruction is engaging? Well, it makes learning fun. It makes learning meaningful. It makes students want to learn, okay? It also makes students want to do well. If you're engaging in instruction, if your instruction is engaging and fun, then students are more connected to it. They want to do well in your classroom. It encourages them to embrace collaborative learning. So learning with their peers. Hey, this is so fun. I remember when we talked about this a week ago, or I remember when I learned something like this last year. And then they begin to be excited about sharing that experience with their peers. And then, of course, it establishes positive student to student and student to teacher relationships. So it's a way to connect all members of the classroom community to the instruction as well as to their goals of learning and doing their best. Engaging instruction may include visual components such as emojis, which you've probably seen plastered everywhere nowadays, or bitmojis, which are just cartoon versions of people, in this case of teachers. So that's one aspect of engaging instruction, is a visual component. Second, audio component, such as videos or read aloud. Since a lot of us were virtual, we were forced to use videos and read aloud components or programs that included those things to support students. Never forget how important those can be in daily classroom instruction. Finally, student choice opportunities. Students love the opportunity to choose their own adventure. So something such as a this or that board to give students the autonomy of choosing their own activities in the classroom that are still aligned to your expectations for high quality instruction. These are just some instructional programs that have been used for low incidence learners. So News ELA is specifically a program that includes tailored Lexile level reading programs or reading passages for students that include quizzes to assess their understanding of reading. IXL, which is a component that has several different subjects included: reading, math, science, and social studies, all in one program that assesses low incidence learning ability. N2Y, specifically tailored for students in special education courses who have IEPs that may need some more specific individualized support. And Nearpod, the program that has been plastered everywhere due to virtual learning that also includes lots of supports and components for students who have low incidence learning needs. So these are just a few examples of some engaging instructional programs for low incidence learners. Recap. Tip 1, be sure to prepare your physical environment. The less that students have to think about where things go and where they go, the more they'll be able to think about instruction that you're providing on a day-to-day basis. Tip 2, provide clear expectations. If students don't have to guess what to do or what success looks like, the more likely that you'll see them perform to their absolute highest in your classroom. Tip 3, plan for engaging instruction. If learning is fun, if students enjoy learning, not only will they be excited to learn, but they'll come to school, they'll share their opportunities with parents and friends, and they'll in turn do their absolute best because that's where they want to be. They want to learn, they want to do well. So these are just our 3 tips to support low incidence learners. Additional resources. Here are a few resources that will be linked in the resource components of this video that you can use in your own time to explore some of these to support low incidence learners in your classrooms. So these are just a few. Thank you. Thank you for your time. I have thoroughly enjoyed talking to you guys about low incidence learners and ways to support them with reentry after breaks. If you would like to know more about low incidence learner support or diverse learner support in general, please feel free to reach out to me. Again, Katava King, katava@diverselearnerscoop.com, or reach out to any of the diverse learner team for more information on how to support diverse learners in your classrooms. Thank you for your time. See you next time. Bye.